And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Tuesday, May 20th. I'm Josh Engleman, here to break down some basketball. We've got the Western Conference Finals starting up today, finally. Ready to talk some hoops. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves heading to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder. Should be fun. I mean, I do not like this series for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but we will get that. And we will get all of that out over the course of the next half hour, 45 minutes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's up, everybody? We got basketball back, and it's not going anywhere for at least a little bit. Game today, game tomorrow, then game, then game, then game, then game, then game, then game, then game. Until we don't have one every other day. But every day we're here breaking it all down. These first couple shows are going to be more theoretical. You know, you got to talk through this series. We got to figure out where we want to be. We got to figure out how we think it's going to go. How will rotations change? Remember, everything that we knew from Oklahoma City's previous series, everything that we knew from Minnesota's previous series, throw it away. It's all gone. New matchups, new changes, new rotations. It's all on the table now. Get this out of the way right now. And I already know the responses that are going to happen here, but I'm just going to continue to give my takes the way that I give them. I don't think Minnesota has a prayer in this series. I think Oklahoma City's biggest threat was Denver because of Nikola Jokic. Now you get a Minnesota Timberwolves team that's... Don't overreact to this. They're more basic. They're like a standard issue basketball team. They're good. Like their players are really good, but Anthony Edwards is just a good wing. Young good wing. You got Rudy Gobert as your drop center. You know, you've got Naz Reid, who's going to be not as good defensively, better offensive stretch. What does Julius Randle look like in a series where he's going up against what I believe is the best defense in the history of basketball? I just think this is tough sledding for Minnesota. Dick Togo says, do I feel like the time off hurts them or helps them? Neither. I don't think it's relevant. I like Minnesota a lot. I don't know how much they could throw at Oklahoma City to knock them off the perch here. Any defensive matchup Oklahoma City puts out there is probably a plus matchup for them. They can guard Randall with whoever they want. They can guard Ant with Jalen Williams, Caruso, Dort. I mean, we've got so many options. Obviously, anytime that Gobert is out there, at least defensively for OKC, I mean, it's gonna be good. And then from an offensive perspective for the Thunder, I think that they match up well here as well. I think I've got it up on the screen right now. These are the 4 factors for teams from the regular season. I don't want to overreact to regular season numbers, but just directionally, I think the biggest problem for Minnesota is going to be turnovers. Minnesota can cough the ball up from time to time. They were 19th in turnover rate this year. Oklahoma City is like the best turnover creating team that's ever existed. They were number 1 in the league by between them and Orlando, a pretty significant margin. If Minnesota is coughing up the ball, that is going to be a major problem. They're going to have a real hard time recovering from something like that. Foul-wise, nothing too crazy. Minnesota, not a huge foul team. OKC doesn't draw fouls at all. It's basically Shea and no one else. I think the turnovers are going to be one of the bigger factors here. But ultimately, I just don't think Minnesota's offense is even remotely good enough to try to crack this Oklahoma City code. I don't know where it comes from, but like obviously anybody can just make a shit ton of shots. They can just fall. We've seen it happen, or vice versa. We can see teams miss a shit ton of shots. But yeah, I have a hard time seeing how Minnesota wins this series, ignoring injuries. So I am very much leaning Oklahoma City. Probably 5 would be my pick. That's at plus 270 right now. 6 is plus 390. They are the two most likely scenarios. I think they're going to be good. It's going to be good basketball. It's going to be a very interesting series for Ant. The way that I see this one taking place is basically this. By the end of the series, we're going to... the narrative and the media will probably not paint Ant in a great light, which will be a wild overreaction. But my expectation is that he struggles in this series because they have a billion dudes to send at him. And if you can't get the full full Ant experience, Minnesota's not going to be in this. That's okay. That's super normal. Like, we got to remember, Anthony Edwards is 23 years old. Another Western Conference Finals, the most difficult defensive matchup that he can find. Like, win or lose, and I expect lose, this is, to me, just a building block series for someone like Ant. Like, 23 is just super young. And when it doesn't go well, they'll be in his, everybody's going to be chirping, and that's just not going to be what it is. This type of series, the way that I expect it, this type of series will be massive for 27-year-old Anthony Edwards. Because unless OKC just runs back another really fun off season and get even better, which they can 100% do, this will be the hardest thing he'll ever do on a basketball court for a while. Now, right now, he is currently projected for the most ownership, along with Shea on the DraftKings side. But I think he's going to struggle, and that's okay. I want to see how he does, because if he doesn't struggle, oh boy. If Anthony Edwards is arriving right now, if Anthony Edwards by the end of this series was the best player in this series, that is going to be a very fun experience for watching this entire thing. So I'm pumped to watch this and see how it breaks down, because OKC can go about this a lot of different ways. I mean, you're expecting Hartenstein on Gobert anytime Gobert is on the floor, which should allow you to hide Chet on Mike Conley if you want to as your help. That's death. S&P, I have a hard time ever thinking Houston is better than OKC, but they have the clientele to do it. OKC doesn't have a Jalen Green. And that's, as weird as it sounds, that's massive. My expectation is 4-1. And OKC closes them out. To me, they're just that much better of a team, and I don't say that to disrespect Minnesota in any way. They're good. They're a really good basketball team. I think this OKC team, when all is said and done, people won't want to do it because of injuries and things. When all is said and done, this is going to be if OKC ships this will be one of the greatest NBA seasons that we've seen from start to finish. I'm excited to see how that looks. Oh yeah, S&P, I know. So here's what we got for ownership. I think that's ownership. Did I not go to ownership? No, I went to showdown projections. That's not what I wanted. No, Showdown ownership. All right, I guess I'll click the menus because apparently I don't have that link immediately in my dropdown, which is annoying to me. KJ, one of. I mean, by the time it's all over, they're going to have one of the best net ratings ever in the regular season, and right now, one of the best playoff net ratings in the history of basketball. They're already statistically one of the best, if not the best, defenses at this point. We got to call it what it is. And the crazy part is, in theory, it should be even better next year. They have a plus 13.6 net rating in the regular season this year. That's massive. We're talking 4 points clear of any other team. Then in the playoffs so far, they're still at plus 13.7. Oddly enough, this is the craziest part. The Knicks are 8-4 in the playoffs. They have a plus 0.4 net rating. Wrap your head around that one. They have 8 wins of their 12 games, and they have just barely outscored their opponents in that time. This is one of those big reasons why we got to stop overreacting to wins and losses when we try to evaluate basketball teams, not when we want to just talk about how things went. But this OKC team is so damn good, it's crazy. It's crazy. We'll see what that ends up looking like by the time the playoffs are over. But yeah, we're going to talk about this team for a very long time if they ship this. All right, let's finish off this sim. We'll see what things look like to start the day. The easy thing to talk about is the Minnesota side. From a team standpoint, they're not doing anything different today. They're going to play the same 8 guys they've been playing since October. Nothing's changing there. The minutes will start to move around because your matchups change. Whether that's more Gobert, less Gobert, more Naz Reid, less Naz Reid, more DiVincenzo, less Conley, more Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Those are the things that are going to move around for Minnesota. The players aren't. At least not today or game 2 or likely game 3. Today, you're going to get 8 Minnesota dudes. The only ones we've talked about all year, save for October and November when everybody wanted to know why they weren't going to play Rob Dillingham. This is why they weren't going to play Rob Dillingham, because he was never going to step foot on the floor in any minutes that mattered. That's why we're where we are. Yeah, S&P, I'd love to know what their... I'd have to pull it on PvP stats, but like, I'd love to know how much they're undershooting too. See if I can get that pulled up while we're talking. Do I think OKC will still be okay if J-Dub has a couple 3 of 15 games because Minnesota doesn't have Jokic? Yeah, I also don't expect J-Dub to have a couple 3 of 15 games. All right, let's start filtering some of these lineups. I'm going to bounce to PvP stats and see if I can find any data on what they're shooting over expectation. Let me filter these lineups. So we're going to go, let's set a minimum of 200. And obviously this is very early in the morning, but you know, in NBA streets, we're not going to see too much change. 211 is the max ownership. So let's set that cap. And let's set that cap. And then let's lop out some dupes and see where we stand. Boom. Nope, that didn't take. Oh, and there we go. All right, we're sorted. We're favorited. Now let's talk about what we see and if we like it or not. Now, at the captain spot, it is what it is. Shea with the 18K salary, highest owned guy at 25%. I'm way over here. The guy that I'm lightest on is Ant. I'm very happy about that. 16% owned, your second most owned captain. He is a guy I'm lighter on. That is how I would want it to be if I were picking my exposures. because I just don't like this series for him. Yes, Oklahoma City has less rest. Yes, Oklahoma City had to go deep into their bag of tricks against Jokic. These guys are young. They didn't even get really pressed in that series for real minutes. This was not a 46 across the board for 5 guys, nobody left thing. I'm not worried about it at all. I think Ant's just not going to have a really good time in this. I don't really have any major stands other than Shea at the captain, which I'm not surprised by at all. I'm happy to have just little trickles here. I expect to get a lot of Shea, and the reason for that is simply there's going to be enough value from Oklahoma City dudes, whether that's Caruso, Cason Wallace, whether that's even on the other side, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, whether that's Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams with a Y. OKC just has a boatload of cheap dudes. And I don't necessarily know which one of those guys are going to play. So if I have a lot of Shea, I'm probably just going to end up with a lot of the OKC randos. Jose and DC24. Let's talk about it. We'll get into it right now. The question is, what do we think about Isaiah Joe in this series? Now, this is a completely different series than what we saw before. He is absolutely live to have a role. Whether or not that's today, I think is a very open question, one that I clearly don't have an answer to. But like, we need to remember that whatever we thought from Denver, throw it in the trash. It's just not, it's no longer relevant. It's like it's a different universe. We don't have to take anything from Denver. You are going to play that team's quite a bit differently than you're going to play Minnesota. So from that regard, that could mean Joe's spacing. Like, in situations where Rudy Gobert is on the floor, it'll be interesting to see how much they want to use Isaiah Joe. Because if you've got Rudy in a drop, not that he has to always be in a drop. I'm going to say this again because I feel like I have to say it for any Minnesota series at the start. The reason Rudy Gobert will get taken off the floor will never be defense. It will be offense. Offense is the limiting factor for Gobert. Defensively, even if he's guarding on the perimeter, he's still good at that. Better than most in his situation. So let's remember, Rudy Gobert's minutes are tied to his offensive ability. Okay, now that we've established that. When Rudy Gobert is on the floor, I think those are good minutes for Isaiah Joe. Because I think that's the spot where you can find a little space on the outside. Or it's the opposite. Maybe you're doing that when Naz Reid is on the floor and you're willing to give up a little bit of defense for additional offense. That's the stuff we don't know yet. We need to see how these things interact. But I will say this. Right now we have, I can't even scroll down far enough to show you guys, below Rudy Gobert. So I could flip it. That's smart. So from an ownership perspective, at the flex, Isaiah Joe's getting none of it right now. 1,600, 2% owned. He's not really in my stuff. I see no reason that you couldn't take a 10 to 15% stand on Isaiah Joe here as a contrarian option, because we just don't know. It's a very different series. He could also not play a single second. But in terms of ownership to guys in this game, Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams with a Y are the only guys that are below 18. On the surface, those are the two guys that to me are like most interesting. Because I think we could see quite a bit of Jalen Williams in this series. The Y Jalen Williams. So I love those I love those guys as contrarian options. But for someone like Joe or even Jalen Williams, we might not see them at all. But they are the guys that aren't getting really any representation. Minnesota on the season allowed the 7th least amount of threes, the 7th least amount of corner threes, and they were neutral above the break. Not much to read into there. Neutral in terms of teams getting to the rim. This should be no surprise here. 3rd in the league defending the rim. That's what happens when you have Rudy Gobert on the team. Jalen over who for minutes? Like Dort? I mean, Hartenstein, depending on how this matchup is looking. If you want a little bit more space on the offensive side and you think you could hold up defensively, Dort for sure. Like if they're willing to go to J-Dub as a primary defender on Ant, then Dort is less important because they don't really have another guy that is that kind of threat. So there are very easy paths for Jalen Williams with a Y to get more minutes, depending on what sort of offense-defense trade-outs they're looking to make. Not that Jalen Williams is bad on either end, really. He's a great role player. In terms of guys that I'm taking a stand on, at least in the morning, it's as you guys can see it at the top, I'm wildly under on Ant. Now, I did nothing to manipulate this stuff. This is raw projections out of the gate, set my filters, took my minutes, or took my top 50. So I couldn't be happier with the way this is going right now because I don't want Ant. At least not a lot of them. At least not a lot of them. In terms of leverage, Caruso, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, DiVincenzo, Case and Wallace. Yeah, happy to be taking stands there. Light on Ant, light on Gobert, light on Aaron Wiggins. I'm okay with all of these things. I kind of wish this contest would start right now. I really do. Deegs is getting more Ant than SGA. I mean, I think the price is helping out a bit there. Extra $400 is certainly going to be helpful. I mean, our data sees it very different. P. Wayne, there's only one answer to who wins the NBA title. It's OKC. The only way to ask that question is, do you think it's Oklahoma City or do you think it's any one of the other 3 teams? Because that's what we're talking about now. It's 50% OKC, 50% Minnesota, Knicks, and Pacers. I don't think that either team from the East even has a prayer against OKC. Whether it's the Knicks or the Pacers, barring injuries, they're going to be one of the bigger underdogs in a finals that you'll ever see. Blazer says starting lineup for the Thunder with the 2 bigs, 15 net rating in the regular season, only a +2 in the playoffs. Yeah, don't overrate that. Key reminder for all of this is that the starting lineup in the regular season got to play all of the shitty teams for the entire season and not have to play the 5 best players for the Nuggets for 120 minutes. So the fact that they're +2 is still very good to me because their bench should beat the shit out of everyone else's bench. If that starting lineup can run neutral against the nuts of Denver, when you start bringing in Aaron Wiggins and Caruso and Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams and whatever, like that's when you'll see that plus minus be 50 over the other team because they're bringing in Peyton Watson and Julian Strother and whatever. So yeah, context is very important there. Think about it like a strength of schedule in college football. There is no strength of schedule in the regular season, and now it's very heavy. So those are my exposures that I've got on this game for today in the showdown side. Again, my main takeaway is this. I'll just to sum up like the way that I want to approach today's game. I greatly prefer Oklahoma City to Minnesota in terms of winning the game. I don't like the matchup for Ant, and I think the easiest way to be different is rotating through Oklahoma City bench options and playing the ownership game. We could take a quick peek at the data hub for FanDuel just to see what sort of context differences there are. And they're relatively limited. You've got Shea at 15.6. You've got Ant at 14.8. Kind of the same representation of captain ownership. It's 30 for Shea. It's about 15 for Ant. We're seeing sort of the same sides of it on DraftKings. Then you've got this really flat section of non-Big Two captains, whether it's Jalen Williams or Gobert or Chet. Even the ownership at the flex there is flat. 35, 31, 31, 30, 35, 33, 32. It's just a lot of 30s. When we're talking about value, though, on the FanDuel side, you've got Jalen Williams with a Y at 1,400. 10% less ownership than Aaron Wiggins. That's interesting to me in a new series. Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a value option at 11% owned looks like a very interesting pivot. You know, if Dante DiVincenzo is going to be twice as owned and twice as expensive, that could flip very easily on the FanDuel end. Caruso is a bit more expensive than I'd want for him in game one, but still pretty sizably owned, 33%. DC, am I expecting Hartenstein to close in this matchup? Yes, and I don't know. SGA and Jalen Williams will always close. The final three dudes can be anybody. My guess would be I would lean no, unless OKC's offense is not struggling with the double bigs. And I don't really think that it would. But I would assume that Hartenstein will likely only be out there if Gobert is closing. My guess is that it would likely be Chet, Jalen Williams, Shea, Caruso, and Dort. That would be like my most likely closing lineup. I'd be surprised if they closed with Aaron Wiggins. But again, like, all bets are off. Once you see the series once and get an idea of how people react to matchups, then that's possible. I mean, Travis, the chances of Wiggins closing, if we're being honest, is like basically zero. But it's not, it doesn't have to be zero. But he is definitely behind 6 other guys. But it'll be tactical. Like, the moment they find out that, like, Isaiah Joe can get free, then they're going to want that dude out there just heaving threes on any opportunity that he can get. If that's not happening, then yeah, Wiggins is probably the next guy up. Wow, that is ridiculous, S&P. That is truly ridiculous. I got to talk to you guys about one thing before we go to single lineup Czar stuff. And I think you guys are going to really like this deal if you want to hang out and get some DFS stuff going on. PGA Millie is the promo code. One big word. Link in the description. PGA Millie. M-I-L-L-Y. We had a Millie winner. PGA this past weekend. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's always fun to see. When we get these Millie winners, because it's not the first one, it's not the second one, it's not the third one. We had like 5 or 6 during the regular season for football. But we got one in golf. And when we get these Millie wins, we pay it forward to you guys. Here is the deal. Buy 2 months of a core all access package. So it's our DFS package, it's our core DFS package. You get every sport, projections, and ownership, and sims, everything we offer. It's all included. You buy 2 months, you get a 3rd month for free. So essentially 33% off 3 months of our all access core package. It's a hell of a deal. We don't do a ton of offers on our all access packages. We kind of just save them for situations like this. And when we get a milli win, we got to celebrate it. So if you want access to everything, that'd be NBA for the rest of the playoffs, baseball for the next 3 months, hockey for the rest of the playoffs is here. We've got MMA each weekend, golf each weekend, NASCAR. I am likely missing something. It covers all of it. PGA Millie, link in the description. Buy 2 months of core, get an extra month for free. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. Go Canes? I agree. I agree. Charger Dad. No favorites for Showdown because it's always the same people over and over again. It would be Shea, number one, every day we played. Likely every day. Ant would either... Shea would be 1 or 2, likely 1 every day of the series. Ant would be 1 or 2, likely every day of the series. That's just how it would be. It's basically just... More often than not in those situations, barring any weird salary stuff, you're basically just ranking these guys on, like, their projection. Like, Shea, Ant. In this situation, it's Gobert because his price is oddly low, but Jalen Williams, like, you're just in that range. Because once I fall off here, 50%, 47, 43, 35, 35, 34, 33, 33, 30, like, they're all the same. There's no separation. I'd like to. It's just, it would be me just being like, well, Shea's really good. You should play him today and in game 2 and in game 3 and in game 4 and in game... It's just... I'd like for that to be better, but it's not. What we should do right now, though, is Czar time. It's time to build lineup, DraftKings and FanDuel. So let's do it. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Let me hit you guys with schedule. Yeah, that was last year, not this year. Oh, thanks, Laffy. Okay, schedule. Got it. Obviously, I am doing this show right now. Laffy will be up next at 11 a.m. MLB strategy show. Spags will be doing a best ball stream at 2 p.m. Eric and Bellman will be on Live Before Lock at 6. Please watch MLB Live Before Lock every time Bellman is on. How many more times has this guy got to win like $25,000 before every single person is watching our MLB streams? I don't know how many 5-figure wins Bellman has so far this baseball season, but it feels like 10. I don't know, you guys, somebody in chat might be paying attention enough to like have a better idea, but it feels like he's getting 2 or 3 of them a week. Finally, Greg and I, 8 p.m. Eastern time, NBA Live Before Lock. Reminder, this game locks at 8:30 Eastern. Greg and I will be live from 8 to 8:30. Playback will have the games on. You can still subscribe through Playback, watch the games. We will not be going live for this one. I will be around, though. The last 2 times I've tried to do this, Game 6, Boston Knicks, Game 7, OKC, Denver, by the time I get to halftime or the third quarter and I'm ready to sit down and watch the rest of the game, everybody's down by 40. So I'm hoping that this can be just competitive and I can hop on for the second half or at least for the fourth quarter. But I'll be around. I'm not going to miss any bit of basketball for the next couple of weeks. Every single second of every one of these games is going to be on my eyeballs. I'll likely be playing a little Last of Us while I do it, but that's neither here nor there. So let's build it. Let's find out what we want to do here. And I think the first part we got to find is the answer at captain SGA, or do we want to try to save a little bit of ownership and a little bit of salary and get Ant or Jalen Williams? I'm actually going to try Jalen Williams to start, and then I'm going to take Shea. This is going to be a non-Ant lineup, so we'll see how that ends up working for me. I'm going to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker as a Minnesota representative. And then I'm going to get Dort. Now, this is going to give me Ant if I just let it fill it out, and I don't want that. So it gave me Ant Caruso. That's not what I want. If I take Gobert, it's not going to give me Ant. It's going to give me Randall? Yeah. Okay. 3-3. I don't love this. It's going to be positive, but I don't love it. I think it's going to be positive. I hope it's positive. All we want is positive in Showdown in the morning. Oh, -2. Really? Really? All right, I'm going to take Shea out. I'm going to put him back in. I'm going to run it again and hope that shows up as like positive 0.1. Hand building, if you put Wiggins at captain, the rest of your team is stacked. Yeah, it's also owned by 200 people. 8.3. See? All it takes is a little variance, baby. Jalen Williams, no why, in the captain spot. Randall, Dort, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Rudy Gobert, SGA. 3-3. Just out of curiosity, if I pull Randall. Yeah. Because if I go to Chet there and try to upgrade Dort. Oh, it can be Caruso. Let's see if Chet Caruso looks different than that other one did. That's a decent ownership discount. I wonder if this will be more positive. No, very much more negative. Not surprised to see that. Didn't think that it was going to be good. Had to try it. That's okay if it's at the top. Is it? Not my cup of tea. Let's try FanDuel. Don't forget Lofty coming up in 20 minutes. You know what else is coming up in 20 minutes? Hopefully my HVAC guy getting here to put more Freon in my downstairs air conditioner because it's not on and I think it's supposed to be like 80 something today. Maybe that's tomorrow. Hopefully it's tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow high of 86. Freon guy getting here today. Downstairs AC on the fritz. All right, let's get FanDuel. So MVP wise, I can't go to Shea. I guess I have to. The gap in value is just too big. I'm going to leave Ant out of this one too. I'm going to go Aaron Wiggins here, which might end up being just too much salary. That'll give me Gobert. DiVincenzo gives me Hartenstein and Ant. Don't want Ant. Let's take Hartenstein out. So to not have Ant means I'm definitely taking Jalen Williams. That leaves me Rudy Gobert and 1,400 on the table. Probably more than I want to leave, but this could be good enough because of Wiggins. Nope, not even close. Too much salary. Gobert gone. Jalen Williams gone. If it's Chet, it's Hartenstein and leaves 20 for that. I mean, this is going to be even worse. Negative 76. That's close. All right, so to me, it's the problem in this situation is now Aaron Wiggins. I'm giving up more salary than I need to. So let's get Conley. If I complete with Conley, it gives me Ant and Reed. I don't want Ant. So if I scrap Ant, go back to Jalen Williams, it gives me Gobert. Is that better now with Conley over Aaron Wiggins? Has to be. Spending the full freight, it's going to be positive. 18.2. Bang. We get it. Positive DraftKings, positive FanDuel. Reminder, promo code PGA Millie. Buy 2 months of Core All Access, 1 month free. 3 months for the price of 2. Game 1, Minnesota OKC. I'm going to ask the question right now. Chat, give me your answers. Who wins today? Who wins? Now, I expect to get a lot of OKCs, except for the people that are wrong and say Minnesota. But I think OKC wins. I think OKC covers. That's where I stand for today. OKC gets gentleman's sweep. Certainly possible. Certainly possible. Well, guys, we got game 1 in the books, at least from a strategy show perspective. Tomorrow, Pacers Knicks, 10 a.m. We'll be here breaking it down. For now, sit back, relax, go watch Laffy at 11 a.m. for the MLB strategy show, and make sure you're back later today, 8 o'clock tonight, myself and Greg Ehrenberg. Game 1, Western Conference Finals. Thanks, y'all. See you later.